The human cardiovascular system is an engineering marvel that, by the time an individual reaches the age of 65, has executed roughly 2.5 billion continuous cardiac cycles, pumping millions of gallons of blood through a vast, intricate network of roughly 60,000 miles of biological piping. However, as we cross into our later decades, the fundamental architecture of this vascular network undergoes a profound and often silent deterioration, shifting from a state of dynamic, flexible resilience to one of rigid inflammatory fragility. The primary site of this age-related cardiovascular decay is the endothelium, a delicate, single-cell thick inner lining that coats the interior of every artery, vein, and capillary in your body. In youth, the endothelium is a highly active endocrine organ, constantly releasing chemical signals that regulate blood clotting, immune response, and vascular tone. But after 65 years of exposure to fluctuating blood sugar levels, environmental toxins, and circulating stress hormones, and the sheer mechanical friction of blood flow, these endothelial cells enter a state of biological senescence. They become damaged, dysfunctional, and plagued by chronic oxidative stress. This oxidative stress is driven by reactive oxygen species, commonly known as free radicals, which aggressively strip electrons from the healthy tissues of the arterial walls, creating microscopic lesions. As the endothelium degrades, the arteries lose their youthful elasticity. They can no longer expand and contract efficiently in response to the heart's pumping action, a condition clinically defined as arterial stiffness. This rigidity forces the heart to pump against increased peripheral resistance, driving up systolic blood pressure and setting the stage for catastrophic cardiovascular events. Yet, this trajectory of vascular decline is not an inescapable biological absolute. It can be intercepted, mitigated, and in many cases, actively reversed through the precise daily introduction of a specific class of botanical compounds found in an unoxidized infusion of Camellia sinensis, or green tea. To view this ancient beverage merely as a comforting warm drink is to fundamentally misunderstand its biochemical payload. When an individual over 65 consumes a properly prepared cup every day, they are administering a targeted dose of flavanols, specifically EGCG. This molecule is the absolute cornerstone of vascular bioengineering. The moment EGCG enters the gastrointestinal tract and is absorbed into the systemic circulation, it actively seeks out the inflamed and damaged endothelial lining of the vascular network. Its first and most critical mechanism of action is the restoration of endothelial nitric oxide synthase. This is the specific enzyme responsible for the production of nitric oxide, a volatile gas that acts as the primary signaling molecule for vascular relaxation. As we age, our natural production of nitric oxide plummets, causing the smooth muscle cells surrounding the arteries to remain locked in a state of chronic constriction. EGCG chemically bypasses this age-related deficit by stimulating the endothelial cells to drastically upregulate their nitric oxide production. As the nitric oxide gas diffuses into the arterial walls, it commands the smooth muscle fibers to relax, inducing immediate and sustained vasodilation. The internal diameter of the arteries widens, the mechanical shear stress on the vessel walls evaporates, and the shear pressure required to push blood throughout the body drops significantly. For an individual monitoring their health at 65 or older, this translates to a measurable, natural stabilization of hypertensive blood pressure without the systemic side effects frequently associated with aggressive pharmaceutical vasodilators. But the protective capability of EGCG extends far beyond mechanical dilation. It operates as a master regulator of lipid metabolism and arterial plaque formation. The most dangerous physiological event in the aging cardiovascular system is not merely the presence of cholesterol, but the oxidation of low-density lipoproteins. When LDL particles circulating in the blood become oxidized by free radicals, they turn highly toxic. The immune system identifies this oxidized LDL as a foreign invader and dispatches macrophages to consume the damaged cholesterol. These macrophages gorge themselves until they swell into volatile foam cells, which then bury themselves into the subendothelial layer of the arterial wall. This process forms the necrotic core of an atherosclerotic plaque. Green tea categorically disrupts this lethal chain of events. The EGCG molecule is a structural electron donor. It circulates through the bloodstream, actively neutralizing free radicals. It acts before they have the opportunity to interact with and oxidize the LDL particles. By maintaining the structural integrity of the circulating cholesterol, the catechins in the tea eliminate the primary biological trigger for plaque formation. The arteries are not merely kept open, they are actively shielded from the biochemical rusting that characterizes clinical atherosclerosis. Concurrently, the daily infusion of these polyphenols addresses another critical threat to the aging demographic: pathological blood coagulation. As human physiology ages, blood platelets tend to become sticky, meaning they possess a heightened propensity to aggregate and form dangerous clots. This is the precise mechanism behind ischemic strokes and myocardial infarctions. EGCG exerts a powerful antithrombotic effect, gently inhibiting the hyperaggregation of platelets. It ensures that the blood remains in a state of optimal fluid viscosity, allowing it to navigate the microscopic capillary beds with ease. Yet it achieves this without acting as a dangerous systemic blood thinner that would compromise the body's ability to heal from external wounds. When this specific biochemical intervention is maintained consistently over a 30-day cycle, the internal environment of the aging body is fundamentally reprogrammed. The chronic, low-grade systemic inflammation that is the primary driver of biological aging begins to extinguish. This internal cooling is clinically measurable through the sharp decline of C-reactive protein in the blood plasma, indicating that the immune system is no longer locked in a state of chronic, self-destructive hyperactivity. As the arterial network regains its elasticity and the vascular pathways are cleared of oxidative debris, the hemodynamic benefits begin to ascend toward the most vascularized and vulnerable organ in the body, the human brain. The cerebral cortex demands roughly 20% of the body's total blood volume to maintain optimal cognitive function, yet it is fed by a fragile network of microvessels that are highly susceptible to age-related ischemic damage. By optimizing cerebral perfusion through the vasodilation driven by green tea, a higher volume of oxygenated blood is delivered to the neural tissues. This enhanced microvascular blood flow actively flushes away metabolic waste products from the brain, including the early formations of amyloid beta proteins. For the individual over 65, this enhanced cerebral circulation is frequently experienced as a sudden lifting of the pervasive brain fog, a restoration of short-term memory recall, and a stabilization of mood, proving that cognitive longevity is entirely dependent on vascular integrity. However, the profound medical efficacy of this daily habit is entirely contingent upon the precise methodology of preparation and consumption, a protocol where minor deviations result in complete chemical neutralization. The catechins within green tea are highly sensitive to thermal degradation. Exposing the tea leaves to boiling water incinerates the delicate EGCG molecules, rendering the infusion biologically inert while extracting harsh, bitter tannins. The water must be strictly maintained at a temperature between 160 to 175 degrees Fahrenheit to perfectly extract the polyphenols intact. Furthermore, the integration of this tea into the daily diet requires a strict avoidance of a common cultural habit: the addition of dairy. Cow's milk contains a specific group of proteins known as caseins. When dairy is introduced into green tea, the casein proteins chemically bind to the EGCG molecules with an unbreakable affinity. This molecular binding creates a complex that is too large to pass through the intestinal wall, meaning the vital antioxidants are completely blocked from entering the systemic circulation and are instead excreted as waste. To achieve the vascular transformation promised by the plant, the tea must be consumed in its pure, unadulterated state, perhaps enhanced only by a small addition of ascorbic acid from a fresh lemon, which clinical studies have shown actually stabilizes the catechins in the digestive tract. and increases their ultimate absorption rate into the blood by up to 5 times. This daily ritual, therefore, transcends a simple dietary preference and becomes a highly strategic, clinical intervention. By introducing this precise chemical matrix into the body every single day, the individual over 65 is no longer a passive victim of vascular aging. They are actively utilizing molecular biology to force the endothelial cells to repair themselves, lowering the sheer mechanical stress on an aging heart, halting the oxidation of lipids, and ensuring that the delicate neural networks of the brain remain bathed in a constant, rich supply of life-sustaining oxygen. It is the ultimate exercise in functional longevity, leveraging the deep evolutionary chemistry of a single botanical source to comprehensively rebuild the structural foundation of the human cardiovascular system.